Inside Winston Cup Racing, a weekly 30-minute look at the men and machines that make up the world's most popular motorsport. With your hosts, Ned Jarrett and Steve Burns.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside Winston Cup Racing. Today, we're in Kannapolis, North Carolina at the Curb Motorsports shops. They have a variety of cars on display here that Mike Curb has been involved with.
And Ned, for 1988, they'll be campaigning this car for Rookie of the Year honors with Ed Pym as the driver. Here's what we have for you in this half hour.
This week on Inside Winston Cup Racing, you'll see one of the new teams for 1988. The Roush Racing team could be an instant success with Mark Martin as the driver. You'll see how they're preparing for the upcoming year.
And we'll profile the disappointing 1987 season of young Bobby Hillin Jr. After winning at Talladega in 1986, Hillin seemed on the verge of stardom, but suffered through a dismal season last year.
In this week's NASCAR Notebook, we'll explain the complicated Winner's Circle program. All of that and more. Stay with us. Steve Bobby Hillin Jr. came from Texas when he was just 18 years old, still in high school, drove his very first Winston Cup race. But he's a veteran now. He's been here for about 5 years and still is just 23 years old.
When he won his first race at Talladega in 1986, it was somewhat of a surprise, but he's always been aggressive and he has some skill, and it seemed like his career was going to skyrocket. But 1987 proved to be a disaster. After winning his first race in dramatic fashion at the world's fastest speedway in 1986, 23-year-old Bobby Hillin seemed poised and ready to join the ranks of the sport's best drivers. Hillin picked up 14 top 10 finishes in '86 and began to demand respect. But 1987 was quite simply a disaster. Bobby was involved in 7 wrecks and dropped out of nearly as many races with an assortment of mechanical problems. This past season, Bobby had just 4 top 10 finishes. Bobby, having known you for a couple of years, I know what an intense competitor you are. Did you get down at times last year with all the disappointments and mechanical failures?
Well, you know, naturally you want to get down because it's, like you said, this is my whole life. I want to be the best race car driver in the world, and I want to be the best race car driver so bad I can't see straight. And with that in mind, you know, it was disappointing and it was down, and I can remember times where, you know, I felt so bad I just did not know what to do.
Bobby, you described your 1987 season as disappointing. Can you put your finger on any one thing that led to the down season, or was it a combination of things?
Well, there's probably a lot of things you can put your finger on. You know, we dropped out of an awful lot of races and for several different reasons, and that's probably the biggest disappointment of the whole year because it makes the overall picture look probably worse than it actually is. So, you know, in a way that was good because it's causing us to come back, examine the whole operation, make the changes we need to make, and go into 1988. You know, Bobby Hillin doesn't want to go into 88 the same way he went into 87 or the same way he went through 87. And so, you know, I feel like, you know, I came up each year in my career and I got better and I got better, and I won the race in 86, and then last year we basically, you know, you couldn't even tell we were at the racetrack. And I'm being honest with you, that's the way it was. You know, you got to face the facts. And I feel like that for the money that they're spending here and for what I've done in the past, it shouldn't be that way. And, you know, it's not a lack of effort on anyone's part. It's just certain circumstances and certain situations. So, you know, right now we're going through a examination process and trying to look back on 87 and look into 88 and think about what we need to do different and go after it. Right now, we're not exactly sure what we're going to do, but we're definitely looking at it. We're definitely going to make some changes, and hopefully that 88 will be a better year for Bobby Hillin.
Bobby's frustrations finally came to a head late in the season at Richmond. He was pulled off the track for several laps to cool off by NASCAR for driving characterized as too rough. Bobby, in a September race at Richmond, you were involved in a situation with some other guys on the track where people thought it got out of hand. NASCAR pulled you and some other guys in to cool you down. Did you lose your temper at that point?
Well, you know, it was just a situation where I felt like I was being taken advantage of on the racetrack. And right then and there, I had to say, no, nobody's going to take advantage of me on this racetrack, and I'm going to show you right now. I can't wait till tomorrow to show you. I can't get out of the race car and show you. I can't say to the press, well, I'm not going to put up with that anymore. I got to do it right now. Right now is the time to show such and such that, no, you're not going to run over me. You're not going to get in my way. You're not going to take advantage of me. I'm going to race on this racetrack as hard as I can. And that was just the situation. I would say, yeah, I did lose my temper, but that's part of it.
Bobby has taken several steps to make sure that 1988 will be better. He announced plans to race on a limited schedule in the Busch Grand National Series. The Grand National cars run at many of the same tracks as the Winston Cup Series as companion events. A growing number of Winston Cup drivers run both races. Racing on Saturday in the Busch Series is financially attractive and provides a lot of good practice time that can be applied on Sunday.
I need to be in the race car all the time, getting all the experience I can get, and it's something I've always wanted to do, but I've had to concentrate on the Winston Cup efforts and put every bit of thinking and every bit of physical energy I've had into doing that. And with Miller as my sponsor for the past 2 years, they've kept me pretty busy off the track, and so I've just been able to get a grip on that in the last couple of years and get a feel of what I had to do and kind of get organized. And now I feel like this year, partly because we had such a poor season, made me go on into doing this sportsman deal or Grand National deal. And
there's nobody on the Winston Cup circuit with more desire and determination than Bobby Hillin. He's got all the right stuff to get his career headed back in the right direction.
Steve, I think Bobby is smart in running some of the Busch Grand National races because it will be valuable experience for him.
You know, Ned, at some of the tracks, the Busch Grand National races are more exciting than the Winston Cup races.
They're very competitive because so many Winston Cup drivers are running them now.
We need to take a short break. When we come back, we'll meet the new race team owned by Jack Roush.
And as we leave you for this commercial, here are some recent test speeds at Daytona. Steve, this car we're leaning against is one of the 1977 Chevrolet Monte Carlos that Dale Earnhardt used to win his first Winston Cup championship back in 1980. The car was owned by Rod Osterlund and sponsored by Mike Curb.
Ned, we'll be in Daytona in about a month for Speed Weeks, and it's always amazing to me when we show up how many new teams have popped up over the winter months. Well, some teams don't do well, they get disillusioned, and they fold as quickly as they start up.
But one new team we'll see there this February is the Jack Roush team with Mark Martin as the driver. I believe they'll be around for a long time to come because they have the talent and the money behind them that it takes.
The Roush Racing battle plan for success is well designed and impressive by any measure. The commanding general is Jack Roush, the man behind ECS Roush Industries, an automotive engineering company of hundreds of specialists who serve many major automakers. Roush's lieutenants both battle-tested NASCAR mechanics. Team manager Steve Meal earned his bars with Richard Petty, then Terry Labonte in his '84 Winston Cup title year. Crew chief Robin Pemberton is Meal's longtime friend and another Petty alumnus with championship experience. Roush's cockpit warrior is Mark Martin, a driver of immense promise returning to the major leagues after 2 Grand National wins last year. 2 enticements brought these capable troops together. One is the chance to work for the respected Roush. The other, the Fords the Stroh's Light-sponsored team will run.
He's made his money developing automobiles and racing. So he's not the kind of fellow that built condominiums or had a beer distributorship or what have you. He would like to go have some fun racing. He understands it takes a lot of time, it takes a heck of a lot of money, it takes a lot of teamwork, it takes a lot of patience and understanding. So Jack just says, here's the deal, you go do it. If you don't hear from me, you're doing fine. And if I'm there every day, you're in trouble.
Robin, you've worked for some of the most successful race operations in the business, and now you come over to Roush Racing. What enticed you to come over?
It's the opportunity to work on a Ford, really. I know everybody's saying Chevrolet's winning all the races, everything, but I honestly believe that Chevrolet has all the best teams, and really teams are what win races. You know, the driver, the crew, and the owners and everything, that's a team.
It's a young, innovative bunch of guys that work here, and we all think just alike, and we all really want to win. And I think that it's going to make things easier for us because we all do think alike. And I think that that causes problems in teams at times when you have one person pulling one way and another person pulling the other. Everybody here is all pulling for the wins. You know, we want to win.
Despite this unity of purpose, until the first week of September, the team existed only on paper. The first task was to turn a few acres of real estate in Liberty, North Carolina, into a functional race shop and get busy on car building.
We start about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we get done anywhere from 7 o'clock that night till 1 or 2 the next morning. But it's interesting because I've been in other places where 8 to 4 was a long day, and man, we look now and it's 6:30, 7 o'clock, and we go get something to eat and come back and hit it again. You know, that's the kind of thing that I was looking for. I've got the guys I want, I've got the driver I want, I've got the support both from Ford Motor Company and Jack Roush that I was looking for, and this has been a lot of fun.
Well, everybody's going to have to work really hard. You know, they've got cars to build and engines to build and tests to run. And it'll be a lot of work. It'll be a whole lot more work for this team than it would be for a team that was already, obviously, that was already ready to go race. You know, they're still building on the shop or adding on to the shop and building race cars and putting everything together that's got to be put together. And the guys will really have to work hard.
It wasn't until late November, after the season finale in Atlanta, that the team was ready to test their first Ford creation under the watchful eye of the boss. Roush has been around racing long enough to appreciate the challenges facing his fledgling NASCAR team. But a 4-year record in which his road race teams have won an astonishing 48% of their starts proves the man knows how to assemble a winner.
It may take us a while to get that cement applied to the point that we can really realize more than the added effects of the engine and the chassis and the other things that I'm sure we'll be competitive with right away. But we can get our chemistry right. We would hope to win a race in 1988.
The Atlanta shakedown session went well, followed by the now mandatory trip to the wind tunnel, then Daytona testing Christmas week. Back in Liberty, the shop is being expanded, and the payroll is now up to 11 people. The race motors will be built in Roush's Michigan facility. A lot of experts within the sport expect this team to put Liberty on the racing map, and there is indeed some self-imposed pressure making all the new pieces fit snugly.
I know Mark's real itchy. He says I'm hyper, I say he's hyper, so evidently we're both pretty hyper. But all these guys here are used to racing a lot, and they have been racing many times a year for a number of years. So we're anxious to get going. It's hard to defend what you think you're doing if you're not placing it in competition. Until we race, we don't know if what we're doing is right.
I don't expect not to win, that's for sure. We want to have a good year, get our stuff together, and work toward years together. I would like for this deal to be able to for this type of race team or these same people to be able to stay together for years.
It'll be a good opportunity for us because there's only one way to go, and that's up and forward.
Personally, I won't be upset if we don't win a race. Now, we may not win a race. Someday we're going to win a race, and you know, that's why we're all here. We're not here to get Ford's money. We're not here to make sure everybody's making a ton and everybody's grinning right around in company Lincoln Continentals. You know, we're here to run this as a business. We're planning on this business being here past the year 2000. I hope all these guys here, if they're comfortable here, will be here then. I'd like to be an old man working for Jack Roush.
If Roush's NASCAR operation mimics the success of his road racers, Neil's dream could be more than just wishful thinking.
Ned, just before Christmas, the Roush team tested at Daytona with a bunch of the Ford teams, and they were among the fastest.
And that's not too surprising, really. We need to take a break. When we come back, we're going to explain the Winner Circle program in NASCAR and have the mailbox.
And as we go to the commercial, here are some more test speeds from Daytona. Cup Racing will visit with veteran team owner Bud Moore. Bud's been in the sport of NASCAR racing for over 30 years.
And we'll take a look back at some of the earliest races from the birthplace of speed, Daytona Beach, Florida.
And we'll visit the home of the driver of the Piedmont Airlines Oldsmobile, Sterling Marlin. Ned, Sterling Marlin and every other NASCAR Winston Cup driver hopes to get their car owners on the Winner's Circle plan.
It does mean a lot of money to them. We've had a lot of letters from fans about the Winner's Circle plan, so we're going to attempt to explain it to you in today's NASCAR Notebook. The Winner's Circle program was established in the mid-'70s by NASCAR as a way to encourage the top teams to attend every race. In the past, some teams skipped the smaller events at North Wilkesboro or Richmond in favor of tracks like Daytona and Charlotte that pay bigger purses. The Winner's Circle program is very, very lucrative financially to car owners. Being on the plan guarantees approximately $9,000 per race, and that's in addition to the posted prize money. To secure a spot on the Winner's Circle plan, you have to have won a race in the previous year and then commit to running every event in the upcoming season. At the start of the season, there are 9 spots available, no more or no less. If there weren't 9 winners the previous year, then the most recent winner from the season before gets in. There are 2 wild card spots available. They are given to the first 2 teams to win that aren't already on the plan and commit to running all of the remaining races in the 1988 schedule. The 9 teams in the exclusive 1988 Winner's Circle plan include Dale Earnhardt in the number 3 car, Richard Childress is the owner, Bill Elliott in the Coors Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird, Harry Melling owns that team, Rick Hendrick owns 2 cars that will earn the healthy bonus for having won the previous year, Darrell Waltrip in the car number 17 and Kenny Schrader in the car number 25. Tim Richmond won 2 races last year in the 25 car. Schrader was winless in number 90, but again, the plan is for the car owners. Brett Bodine will be in the 15 car owned by Bud Moore. Bodine replaces Ricky Rudd, and Rudd qualified the car by winning in Atlanta and Dover. Rusty Wallace is in the 27 car owned by Raymond Beadle, and Rusty won 2 road course events in 1987. Terry Labonte in number 11 owned by Junior Johnson won at North Wilkesboro. Kyle Petty's win at Charlotte put the Wood brothers in, and Davey Allison in the Rainier Lundy owned Ford number 28 won twice in his rookie year while running a limited number of events. They've committed to running every race in 1988. Richard Childress will receive more money than anyone else by virtue of Dale Earnhardt winning more races than anyone else. Remember that the money won while on the Winner's Circle program goes primarily to the car owner and not the driver. Being on the Winner's Circle plan can mean as much as $256,000 for the 1988 season, and that sure helps to pay a lot of bills.
Ned, as if that's not complex enough, there's still another criteria for getting on the plan.
Yes, the driver who wins the most races gets the first choice of being on the Winner's Circle plan. Of course, he gets more money, and then the driver who wins the second most, and so on down the line. Now, if it gets down to where the driver has only won 1 race, then it goes according to the point standings. For example, Bobby Allison finished 10th in the point standings this year and won a race, but he will not be on the Winner's Circle plan in 1988 because his son Davey, who's much farther down in the point standings, won 2 races, so he gets the choice.
It's time now for our mailbox, Ned. Our first question today comes from Charlie Langston of Greenfield, Indiana. He writes, what is the difference between a short track car and a super speedway car? Is there a difference in the engine and the frame? Well, Charlie, for that answer, we'll go to Robert Yates, who builds engines for Davey Allison.
Okay, Charlie, due to the new rule change, which is a minimum track width, all the cars basically the same. The only thing we would do on a short track car is maybe change of ballast. That means moving the extra weight to the front or to the rear to make the car handle. As far as the engine, we have a super speedway engine. You want all the power pushed into one high horsepower or high RPM band. In order to do this, it takes a different manifold, camshaft, intake manifold type of thing. When we run a short track Martinsville, you have to have a wide band like 4,000, 8,000 RPM. You have to have a different camshaft, different manifold. So we have about 4 different levels of engines that we run based on the track length.
Well, Steve, our second question today comes from Roger Weaver of Columbia, South Carolina, who writes, when weight adjustments are made on a Winston Cup car, does the fuel weight influence the changes, or is the added weight just averaged out for the whole tank pull? Well, Roger, for that answer, we'll ask Jimmy Maycar, who is the chassis expert on the Kodiak Pontiac that Rusty Wallace drives.
Okay, Roger, thank you for that question. The fuel weight added to the car does influence one aspect, and that's the actual height of the rear of the car. Fuel usually weighs about 150 pounds per tank full. So obviously, without fuel, the car is going to be a little bit higher in the air in the back than it is with 150 pounds added to it. So we try to set the cars up with a full tank of fuel and set the heights the way we want the car to be on the racetrack. As the fuel gets out of the car, it doesn't affect anything but that height, and it's not that critical as to the performance of the car. As far as the wedge or wheel weights, it really doesn't affect anything of that sort.
If your question is used on an upcoming segment of Inside Winston Cup Racing, you'll receive this Timex Speed Track speed computer. This quality engineered computer has a 5-lap memory and can instantly calculate lap time and speed. In addition, we'll send you one of these beautiful Style Auto racing jackets. Write today to Inside Winston Cup Racing, Post Office Box 240417, Charlotte, North Carolina 28224. And thanks again for writing.
Our time's up for today. Hope you enjoyed the show, and our thanks to the folks here at Curve Motorsports for allowing us to come into their shops here today.
And Happy New Year, everyone. We hope to see you right here next week on the Nashville Network.
So long.
The following companies have paid a promotional fee to Inside Winston Cup Racing. Inside Winston Cup Racing's jackets and outerwear provided by Style Auto, the nation's premier source of fast lane fashions. Style Auto, the champion choice for the style of your life. Inside Winston Cup Racing's mobile hospitality suite. This beautiful 34-foot Pace Aero motorhome provided by Fleetwood Enterprises.